Welcome. I'm Jackie Morey. I'm a multiple #1 international best-selling author, and I'm your web TV host for this episode of the 21st Century Legacy Letters Show. Today is such an exciting episode because today my featured guest, Len Di Giovanni, is a leader of leaders. But before we move on to the legacy word for the day, and before I introduce you to Len, let's take a moment to thank our sponsors. Welcome back. Today's legacy word for the day is the word leadership. What is leadership and what is a leader anyway? Well, I looked online and Webster's dictionary defines leadership as the power or ability to lead other people. That's what leadership means. And I found an article that really helps me and helps you understand what I think leaders are and who they are. This is from Business News Daily, and here's what the article said. Leaders are people who know how to achieve goals and inspire people along the way. Now, isn't that powerful? Wouldn't you want to be led by a leader who doesn't just help the team achieve the goals, but in the middle of it all, he or she inspires the people on the team? I would like to be under a leader like that, and I would like to be a leader like that as well, who inspires people. Now, over the years, I've invested in a ton of business books and leadership books, and I've attended leadership courses and workshops. And here are just 5 success points from some of the books I've read and some of the courses I've taken and some things that I've really taken to heart. Just 5 success points about leaders and leadership. Number one, this is from a book, Heroic Leadership by Bill Cohen. And here is what he says: leaders are made, not born. Now, isn't that encouraging? Because even though you don't have the personality of perhaps an A type personality, or you're not an extrovert, you can still be a leader because leaders are made, not born. In fact, Bill Cohen, who is I think a 4-star general, he's retired now, but he was a 4-star general in the military. He found that even those whose personalities were not A type and who were not necessarily extroverts could become and did become incredible, remarkable leaders. And so that's why he wrote this in his book. And I really was impacted by that line. Number 2, you must serve first if you want to be a leader. Just the other day, my husband shared a story where he told me that the CEO of this company was such a leader because when this company was expanding by leaps and bounds, growing by leaps and bounds, and when there wasn't enough room for another team member, there was not space for that team member because they were just really growing. The CEO, guess what he did? He gave up his own office space for that team member. Isn't that amazing? That's kind of rare, I think. And so instead of him just staying in that office, he gave it up for that team leader, that team member that needed an office space. And guess where he moved to, where the CEO moved to? He moved into a small spot in the kitchen, right? So to me, he was thinking about his team members. He was not just somebody that's focused on himself, but he wanted to serve. So that's point number 2, is you must serve first if you want to be a leader. Point number 3, you cannot become a leader without the help of others. Now, if you're somebody who believes that, you can just be a lone ranger, so to speak, and just be isolated, an island to yourself and want to be a leader, that's not going to happen. You have gaps and I have gaps. You have blind spots. I have blind spots. And so I need others. I need others to tell me, where are my blind spots? Help me so that I can be aware of them. And then we can, you and I can, you can help me to grow in those areas that I'm blind to right now. Or if there are areas that I need to improve upon, I need the help of others. So if you want to lead, I really believe you need the help of others. And also, if you want to achieve something that is epic, you need a whole team. And that means the help of others, right? So that's point number 3. You cannot become a leader without the help of others. Number 4, true leadership is influencing others to perform at their maximum potential to complete a project or task. It's influencing others. Now, wouldn't you want to be led by somebody who wants to influence you as opposed to just somebody who just keeps ordering you around or being so micromanaging about the whole team? No, I do not want to work or be collaborating with a person like that. I want somebody who can persuade and can influence. And I would like to be a leader like that who can influence and persuade as opposed to directing and commanding, right? Okay, number 5, recognize and affirm your team. So important, folks. If your team is making any kind of progress, it is so important to recognize them for even the small achievements they make on a daily, even a weekly basis, and to affirm them. I've worked for some folks who don't do that. They are just so into what they want and their vision, and it's all about their vision and what they want to accomplish, but they have not taken the time to recognize or affirm their team. And so, I felt like a number. I felt like a statistic. And so I didn't really particularly like that kind of leadership style. And perhaps you may not. So, in order to really become an epic leader, a legendary leader, I really believe that we need to recognize and affirm our team members, right? Okay. Well, before I bring Len Di Giovanni on, I want to introduce him to you first by reading his media bio. Len is a trusted business advisor. He chairs a CEO peer group, and he's the founder of Impact Coaching. Len brings 45 years of success directing multifaceted business units with a unique blend of skills and a proven record of achieving results. Len's successful servant leadership approach to business stems from his experience as an entrepreneur and in various executive leadership positions. Len has been involved in the product creation and marketing of emerging solutions within the consumer products, hardware, aerospace, direct marketing, floor covering, import, and the marketing industries. Len believes in community outreach and service, voluntarily serving on numerous corporate boards. After graduating college, Len served in the United States Army as first lieutenant in the Vietnam War, receiving 2 Bronze Stars for his exceptional service. Len Di Giovanni is a Christ follower, husband, father, grandfather, and entrepreneur. Len and his wife Sue live in Pleasanton, California. Having raised 4 children, they are now actively participating in and speaking into the lives of their 8 grandchildren. I'd like to welcome to this episode of the 21st Century Legacy Letters Show, Len Di Giovanni. Hi, Len. How are you doing?
Doing great, Jackie. How are you today? So great to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Len. It is an honor to be with you. Len, who would you like to dedicate this episode of the 21st Century Legacy Letters Show to, please?
Well, of course, I would want to dedicate it to my family, my wife, Sue, my 4 children, Chris and Jenny and Brian and Angie, and our 8 grandchildren, Vincent and Giano, Enzo, Sophia, Joshua, Daniel, Savannah, and Dylan. And I'm blessed to have them all in my life.
Wow. You did that so well. You just named all your grandkids without skipping a beat. That's wonderful, Len. Good job. You're a good granddaddy. Now, Len, would you kindly take a minute and fill in some of the gaps in that intro and just share a glimpse into your personal life, please?
Sure. When I look at my life, I consider myself a Christ follower first, a husband, a father, a grandfather, an entrepreneur, and a CEO coach in that order. So my identity is not so much in what I do, but who I am in terms of being a follower of Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm.
Powerful, powerful. I really appreciate you saying that, Len. We are not human doings, we are human beings. And I love that you consider your identity first as who you are as opposed to what you do. Excellent. Len, would you take a couple of minutes to share a young adult story, an encounter, a turning point, or a milestone, maybe somebody who mentored you, or a milestone that impacted your life and or your character, please?
Oh, sure. And that's easy for me because it was actually my dad. My dad, Nick, we called him. owned an Italian restaurant in Washington, D.C. He had three of them, actually. And I grew up in that environment. I caught the entrepreneurial bug early and ended up opening and closing restaurants, as I was moving through high school and college. But I just really appreciate my dad. I appreciate the work ethic that he exhibited for me, and it wasn't him telling me I needed to do it, but he actually showed me, what a good work ethic is, and it's not necessarily putting a lot of time in. So I think that the thing that shaped my life from the perspective of business and some of the attitudes that I have and the leadership skills that I possess really have its roots in my dad.
I really appreciate you saying that. And even now, you're honoring your dad, you're honoring your father. That's fantastic. Len, I
Mm.
know that you are an amazing granddaddy. In fact, one time previously, you were sharing with me that you were looking forward to a weekend with your grandkids. So, could you would you kindly share one grandparenting life lesson, and maybe tell a story about that life lesson, please, Len?
Well, for sure, just like our kids, um, grandkids spell love the same way, Time, right? And it's about spending time. And for Sue, my wife, and I, we made it a point to understand what our boundaries are as a grandparent, and knowing that not only are our kids not ours, they belong to the Lord, but also our grandkids aren't ours. They're the stewards of our kids. We speak into their lives, of course, and we try to live a life that would leave a legacy for them, and an opportunity for them to live a much fuller life. But it's really all about spending time. We enjoy as much time as we get with the grandkids. We're very, very fortunate that they're all within about 30 minutes of us, California area. And we just don't have enough time for me to go over the stories that I can enumerate. But I think the biggest thing is, just as my wife and I were a student of our kids. There's a proverb that says, "Bring up a child in the way they should go, and they'll not depart from it." We believe that that's speaking to studying our kids and identifying the gifts and the talents that God has given them. Same way with our grandkids, we do the same thing. We try to move them in that direction, so that they're developing the way God wants them to be developed. Yeah.
Mm, powerful. Time is so important, and
Yes.
that's what a lot of society these days seems to not get, is where we seem to be time deprived, right? But it's
Well,
actually being intentional, and being intentional about how we spend our time.
that's accurate. We spend our time doing a lot of things, and a lot of times they're not the right things, or they're not the best things to be doing, right?
Exactly, exactly. Thank you. Well, then, before we dive into some business and career strategies, would you share with us the four essentials to becoming an exemplary leader, please?
Sure. And that, of course, is an offering that we have today, right, for those that are listening. And I'd be glad to share that with anybody that makes the request. But I think first and foremost, you have to define your why. Obviously, our why is talked about a lot, but it's really important that you establish uh, a vision for what it is, for who you are and what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Secondly, is self-control. How many so-called leaders do we see in the marketplace, both in the political realm and in the private realm and in the nonprofit realm, that can't even master themselves, let alone try to lead other people. They can't lead themselves because their lives are out of control. Thirdly, I think keeping a clearly defined vision in front of people, very critical. I'm going to speak to this in a moment. And then the fourth one is, um, an understanding that vision involves other people. It's just not about you. It's about other people and how they receive messaging, and how they behave, and what their temperament is. So you're always having to take the vision that you have for whatever it is that you're doing, communicating it with other people in a way that they understand it. But keeping a clearly defined vision in front of people is one of the most critical steps that a lot of folks overlook, particularly leaders, organizational leaders. It's kind of like my wife and I, we do some marriage counseling, and there's an old story around that this marriage counselor was working with this couple, and the wife was ragging on him about how much he doesn't tell me how much he loves me or gives me flowers or this, that, and the other thing. So the marriage counselor turns to the husband. He says, "So what do you have to say about that?" And he says, "Well, when we got married, I told her I loved her. If anything changes, I'll let her know."
Oh my.
And that's the way some leaders act. Actually, we articulate a vision, and we think, oh, that's all we need to do it is one time. But actually, a vision needs to be in front of people all the time, and it needs to be freshly communicated. It needs to be communicated in a contemporary way, in a way that speaks to each generation. And we have this millennial generation now, very gifted people that receive messages in different ways, and as opposed to my generation. So the way I was communicated with, and even the way I've communicated over the past, I found that I needed to adjust that, because I found that each generation receives messaging. And the reality is this, Jackie: people are working for you because they've captured the vision. They like what you have to say. They of course like the fact that they can make some money at working for you. But more than that, they appreciate vision. That's what they're buying into. They're buying into the vision and the mission and the values of the company. They may not say it, but that's exactly what they're doing. So keep a clearly defined vision in front of people, and watch and see the productivity of your organization explode through the roof.
My goodness.
Even the Apostle Paul says, I'm just reminded, the Apostle Paul says, he wrote this, but I do not consider my life as something of value or dear to me, so that I may with joy finish my course with the ministry which I have received from the Lord Jesus, to testify faithfully of the good news of God's precious, undeserved grace, which makes us free from guilt and sin and grants us eternal life. That was his life's message to everybody that he ran across. When you dissect all of his writings, right, you can probably distill it down to that one statement. He was more interested in other people. He was more interested in other people's well-being, and certainly eternity, than he was focused on meeting his needs. And he communicated that through constantly keeping that vision of God's grace in front of people.
I so resonate with that, Len. Thank you. Now, Len, would you share one business or career strategy that could help not only C-level entrepreneurs like yourself, but others in whatever career path that they're on, please?
Sure, just one. Yeah, I think probably, while we're on this topic of vision, is to me, whatever we do in life, it's all about mission, right? Mission is the filter with which we choose, we make decisions, we hire, we fire. Mission is the reason why we serve the customer base that we've identified who we're going to serve. And I think that the one thing that I'd like to leave in today's context, in terms of what we're talking about, certainly a lot more broader, but today's context is really when you're as your organizations are growing, and you're finding yourself having to make more complex decisions, and you're having to deal with the complexity not only of your organization but also of your marketplace. The filter for all of that is it's all about the mission. Never lose sight of why you're doing what you're doing. What is the mission that you're doing? It helps you focus, and it even helps you set your agenda for the day, right? Sometimes we look at life and we say, oh my gosh, life's so complex. Well, it is complex, but the reality is we make it more complex when we don't allow ourselves to focus on the mission, the thing that we're trying to accomplish, and we get involved in the next shiny object that comes along or the next phone call that we get. I hope that helps.
Definitely. That's such a powerful concept, Len. Mission, and keeping that in front of them, keeping it in front of the team, keeping the vision in front, and also the mission, which is why are we doing what we're doing? And evaluating that, are we still doing
Exactly.
what we're doing? So that's powerful. Now, folks,
And
before
even in meetings, when you have meetings, I would always at the end of the meeting when we came to consensus, I would take one last temperature check and go around the room and have everybody articulate how does this decision impacting and meeting the mission that we've set out to accomplish.
Definitely. I like that, taking a one last temperature check. Good. I like that point. Now, folks, before we get to the redemptive story and the legendary legacy section, let's take a moment to thank our sponsors. Welcome back. Len, I've experienced some redemptive stories in my life, in my own life. Would you share one redemptive story, either in your personal or your professional life, please?
Sure. Um, and I mean, my redemptive story basically has to do both with my personal and professional life. And I was pretty much of a loose cannon out in the marketplace for the first up until I was about age 39, and I made a decision to turn my life over to Christ at that point, and my life totally dramatically changed. It changed to the point where my desires changed. The reason why I did things changed. My motives changed. My marriage was healed. I was divorced at the time. I was even engaged to get married, and I really felt the Lord impressed upon me to go back and reunite my family, which I did. And I certainly would not have the richness of life today, both in terms of my family and in terms of my professional career, if I had not have made that decision for Christ. There's a way that seems right to a man. It's written in Proverbs, and at the end it leads to death. And we see death all around us a lot of times because people are making decisions that lead to death, not to life. And I think that for me, my redemptive story centers around a relationship with Jesus Christ. It centers around his leading and directing me. He reminds me numbers of times that I'm capable of hearing his voice, and that when I hear his voice, if I would just make a step in that direction, that he'll make a way, he'll make a provision for whatever it is that he's calling me to do to take place, which is completely different than where I was at prior to age 39. Life was all about me. Life was all about my own comfort. I deserved to be happy, and although I appreciated other people, I certainly didn't have the love for them that I do now, nor did I have the focus for others that I do now. So I consider my the turning point in my life and the redemptive piece of my life that day that I made the commitment for Christ. Yes.
Wow, Len, that's really powerful. I mean, it seems to me that at that point in your life, everything changed, everything shifted. It was a complete 180-degree turn. I mean, and your entire life was just completely changed to an amazing direction. So thank you for sharing that.
Mm.
Len, do you have a picture of your wife, your children and grandchildren that you could show to us, please?
Sure,
Those who are tuning in on the video podcast.
sure. So this is my wife Sue and I.
Beautiful.
These are our four kids: Chris, Jenny, Brian, and Angie.
Oh my goodness, they're gorgeous. They're
They
beautiful.
Yeah, we had 4 kids in 5 years.
Whoa, very
Uh,
busy.
they're all, they're each other's best friends, and certainly we have a great relationship with them. And then these are our 8 grandkids, and we are beyond blessed in life to have these folks in our life, and we certainly consider it a privilege and an honor to be able to speak into their life, because we are so close. We are within about 30 minutes of each other, so we have great, rich family time together. Mhm.
I believe that. Well, Len, imagine this. Decades and decades from today, imagine you're on your deathbed and you have 5 more minutes with your children, your grandchildren, relatives, maybe friends gathered around your bed. What final words would you say to your children and grandchildren? Maybe some advice on how they can leave a legendary legacy.
Well, of course, uh, that messaging is occurring now. If you're waiting for your deathbed, to communicate something about legacy, you're probably too late, right? Um, and I have a dear friend. Her name is Rita. She quoted me this one day. She says, "Inheritance are things that you leave for family, but legacy is what you impart, right?" And I like to think of it this way. I like to think that I'm leaving my family as a legacy to the world, and not leaving the world to my family. So I'm not focused on leaving an inheritance, although we will, from the standpoint of money. But the biggest thing that I think that my wife and I can leave our kids and our grandkids is a love for others, a focus for others, and just generally giving people an opportunity to see what a Christ-centered life might look like, and giving them the opportunity to make that difference. I think that as far as my deathbed is concerned, I hope I get that opportunity, and I hope I get the opportunity to look each one in the eye and really just express my appreciation for them, and the times that we had together individually, because even to this point, life's been rich for us that way. We've had a lot of time to interact with all of our kids, all of our grandkids individually, and I would remind them that life is short, and even though I may be departing this earth, that we'll see one another again. That's the assurance that we have, that Jesus gave us, and just to affirm the fact of who He said He is. He said of Himself, "I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me." And I would focus um, on celebrating the relational aspects of our relationship together, one on one and collectively. And I think that um, the the time to do that, of course, is now, as well as on the deathbed. So we tell our kids and grandkids all the time how much we appreciate them, and what we're and how they've enriched our lives, and rejoice and are joyful in the experiences that we have together. So that would be kind of my framework for working with that deathbed experience.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Len. Well, Len, we are now in the legacy sprint section of the show. I get to ask you a question and you get to answer in 15 seconds or less. Are you ready, Len?
All right, let's do it.
Awesome. Len, what is one reason people fail to grow in their leadership?
Simply, they have a focus on themselves. There's a lack of accountability, and they fail to understand that they're the ones responsible. A leader's the ones responsible for creating an environment for other people to succeed. But when you're focused on yourself, when you're focused um, on empire building, none of that happens. And as a result, you think you may be leading, but the reality is you're not leading anybody.
Powerful. What is one action you take daily, Len, that brings you to your present business or career goals?
Well, for me, being a Christ follower, I walk and talk with God every day, every moment as I can, and even when I'm in a boardroom and we're steeped in discussion about issues, I'm constantly communicating. My Bible says that I have the mind of Christ living in me. I have this pea-brain mind that I have, but I also have the mind of Christ living in me. And of course, I always want to tap into that. I always want to know what His wisdom is. I always want to know what His direction is, what His desire is for me. And if I would have just one recommendation for folks is a right relationship with God and walk with Him.
Excellent. Top 3 favorite books, please.
So for all aspects of life, it would be the Bible, of course. For business, it would be a new book that I'm really enjoying called The Year with Peter Drucker. And then for politics, I like a book called Original Intent. It's written by a gentleman by the name of David Barton, and I would highly recommend all 3 of those books.
Wow. I get those books. Favorite dish, please.
Ice cream is my favorite dish. Bar none.
Definitely. What about favorite vacation spot, Len?
Anywhere that there's family and sun. I'm a warm person guy, and I love to have family around. We just came from a family reunion. We had 43 people in Sun River, Oregon, and it was just a great time. Seems like we spent a year planning for it, and the 10 days went by in 2 minutes.
Oh my word, 43 folks. That's powerful. Thank you. That's wonderful. I love that. What is your let's see here. What are 3 favorite hobbies or leisure activities, Len?
So I like spending time at church. I like spending time with my church family. I like spending time with my family, of course, first, and then golf. I love golf. I love it. I love the social aspects of it. It's in my blood. Not quite in my swing yet, but it'll get there hopefully one of these days.
Excellent. Well, Len, now it's time to promote you. What would you like to promote, and how can people get in touch with you?
So I'd like to, of course, offer Jackie the exemplary leadership paper that I did, and make that available to anybody that would like it.
Wonderful.
And secondly, I'd like to offer coaching. I'm a coach and a discipler by nature and by skill set, and I generally work with people, at the senior executive level or CEO level. But for the first 3 people that call me or get in touch with me, I'd like to offer a session of 3 for the price of 1. So the session will be the sessions of 3 will be reduced by 2/3. In other words, so we'll for the first 3 people that email me, I would be glad to work with you under those conditions.
Excellent. And for those who are listening to the audio podcast and not the video podcast, here is Len Di Giovanni's email. It is len.digiovanni. That's len.digiovanni at convene.com. Convene now is spelled convenow.com. So len.digiovanni at convenenow.com. Excellent. Well, Len, do you have one favorite quote, please?
I do. I love the scripture. Um, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believe in him should not perish but have everlasting life. It is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, and it's available to all that want to take advantage of it. He says, "Whosoever shall believe," and I would strongly recommend that you check him out if you don't have a relationship with Jesus Christ. Yep.
Thank you very much, Len. And I have a legacy quote to share as well, because we're talking about leadership. Because as you see here, those who are watching the video podcast behind me, my whiteboard says the word for the day is leadership, the legacy word for the day. So here's the quote that I want to share with you. It's something that I quoted. True transformation happens in the presence of a heroic leader. And I'd like to thank you for tuning in to this episode of the 21st Century Legacy Letter Show. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode, or if you're listening to the next episode. And in the meantime, live a life of significance and leave your legendary legacy. All right. Well, Len, how do you think you did, and how do you feel?
Oh, I feel good. Yeah. How do you think it came across?
I loved what you shared. Powerful stuff, sir. And I really, really appreciate you for taking the time
Yeah.
to share and really encourage people to seek the Lord, and really planting those seeds in them, from a leadership standpoint, from a grandparent standpoint, from a career standpoint,
Sure.
and as a follower. I mean, even your redemptive story, that's powerful.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, what's the point in life, right? If we're not leading people toward Christ, what's the point?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, we are definitely here to continue expanding his kingdom and advancing his kingdom agenda. So anyway.
Right. Exactly.
Wow. Well, then let's connect again next week. I need to go. Jim is waiting for me, but I will be praying for you more, and I'll keep praying for you because I want to see you 100%.
Thank you.
You look really, really well, and I'm so grateful that you're feeling well enough to do this interview. So thank the Lord. No more fever, no more nausea, no more shaking, and I just pray that you continue to feel stronger and stronger, so you can go back and play golf again really soon, right?
Exactly.
And eat ice cream more.
To do that already, by the way.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, play more golf so you can eat more ice cream. Wow. Well, Len, it's an honor. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
Jackie,
you, sir.
you're a
I'm
great,
glad
you're a
your
great
camera's working. You
inspiration.
figured out how to um, work it such that you can be on the Google Hangout with both audio and video. So I appreciate you.
Yes. God bless. Enjoy your
Lord
lunch.
bless you, sir. Thank you. Have a great weekend, sir.
All
Bless
right,
you.
Jackie. Thank you. God bless.
Bye.